The first thing that you'll do, everybody will have their individual login, which will give them access to their employees only. So I'm going to go ahead and log in using our supervisor test login this morning. The first thing that you'll find when you do your first initial login, it's going to say that you signed in with a temporary password. So that way you can go ahead and personalize your password at your first login. You'll go ahead and type in your old password. Even though it shows that it appears, it's always good to go ahead and type in the password that they give to you. It'll probably be something along the lines of welcome one or something like that, to where you can log in with a new password. Okay. And once you save your new password, it is going to ask you for 2 security questions. These questions are set there for it, so that way if you forget your password in the future, you can go ahead and answer these security passwords to go ahead and reset your password. If you don't remember those questions, you'll be able to contact either HR or payroll to go ahead and reset your password for you. So it's not something that you'll have to submit through IT, but you'll actually be able to call one of several people in order to reset that password for you pretty quickly. Okay, and this is what we're going to call Empower Times Home Base. And this is what you're all going to see when you first log into Empower. This is going to be your employee dashboard. One thing to note about your employee dashboard is that these icons here at the top actually encompass all the employees that you have access to. So for example, right now the first thing that comes up are your absences. And you can see that I have a couple test employees here that have been absent on different dates according to their schedule. They haven't clocked in for work on either of those days. So I know that something needs to be done with that, or either they're not showing up for work today. Your missing punch edit icon is going to show you that. It's going to show you if any of your employees have missed a punch on any of those particular days. Now, any of these fields are able to be sorted, so if you just wanted to look at one employee, I could do that by typing here at the top, and there's my test employee 2. Test being the first name, employee 2 being the last name, but that just kind of gives you an idea of how this field can be sorted. You can also sort by date here at the top, so if you just wanted to look at a particular date, you could choose that date within that field, and you can see anybody that missed a punch within that date as well. One thing to note, that all of this information is located in your guides, and also those guides that you're giving today is going to be posted to your website as well, so you'll have an electronic version as well to go ahead and reference. The in and out board icon is just that. It's going to show you who's here and who's not. Looks like we have 3 employees that are here today. You can see that with the green check mark with yes. And you can see that I have 1 employee that has not shown for work today. Test employee number 3. They have not appeared yet, so you'll see the red for no. Just a really quick way to see who's here, who's not. Really great tool for you, especially for OSHA purposes as well. If you wanted to know who was on the property, this is a good way to tell. The employee approvals icon, I'm going to go ahead and skip that for just a moment. We're going to come back to that after we view some time cards, so that way you can see how to approve all of your employees at one time. To get to your employees, you can get to them in one of 2 ways. And my resolution here is a little off just because of the projector. But you'll see that you have an employee drop-down menu, which brings you to your employee main and all the way through to the time card. You can also view the same menu by clicking on employees here down at the bottom, and it changes that menu for you on the left as well. So just in your preference on how you want to get there. One thing I will show you is go ahead and show you the setup of the employees. You'll notice that all this information is grayed out, but you can see what's in those boxes. For this particular employee, there's no street address, but normally you might have the street address or the phone number for that employee as well. The reason that this is blocked out or grayed out is because it is manageable and editable by HR and payroll only, but you will be able to view especially the fund, the division, the program, and the status of the employee within your group of employees that you have access to. The next field is going to be your time and attendance field. Again, this is one of those fields that grayed out. This drives how your employee is paid. You can see here, I will say something about the pay class field. That, according to the pay class, is exactly how the employee is paid. So if they're a firefighter or if they're in the police force, they may have a little bit of a different rules than some of your other employees apply, or they may have 24-hour shifts. So those are things that we have to take into account when assigning that type of employee to a particular class. And that's why that's held in the HR and the payroll department. But you will be able to see such things as their schedule template or things from that window that pertain to that particular employee. The next section is going to be schedule. This is a quick view for you to see what your employee is scheduled on what day. So you can see that this particular employee is scheduled from 8 to 4:30 p.m. The employee scheduler, if you double click on one of those lines within the grid, you're going to see the start time, the end time. The lunch start is really the employee can start at any time for their lunch within their schedule. We currently have a rule in place where it actually deducts an automatic 30 minutes for their lunch. If they leave the property, they should of course clock in, or I'm sorry, clock out and clock back in. But it does automatically deduct, automatically deduct the lunch of 30 minutes for the employees. It will automatically default to their home department or home division program, and you can see the 30-minute lunch deduct here as well. Since we're talking about schedules, I'm going to go ahead and show you, you can make adjustments to the schedule within this grid or within this function as well, but there is what we call an employee scheduler grid, and this is going to be very handy for those that may have a different schedule from day to day, which we know that some of your divisions do have. Underneath employees, you'll see the option for scheduler. And once you're in the scheduler grid, you can see that I do have my employee IDs over here on the left. If I want to see more information, if I may not know what those employee IDs or who they're assigned to, I then can go ahead and click on processes here at the top and then come down to my settings. And again, this is all going to be found in your in your user's guide. But if I wanted to see more information, such as the first name and the last name on that particular grid, I can go ahead and add those columns by just clicking on that particular field, clicking on the arrow, and selecting that column into this grid. Once I click Save, now I can see that I can see my employee ID, the first name, and the last name as well. Down here a little bit, there we go. So as you can see, 2 of my employees have schedules Monday through Friday of 8 to 4:30. If I wanted to go ahead and apply different schedules for these 2 employees, let's say employee number 2 has a schedule of 7 to 4 on a normal day. So I can go ahead and go in here and put in 7. I'm working with one hand here, so forgive my typing. 7 a.m. And if I go ahead and tab over, it shows that an 8-hour workday with a 30-minute lunch would actually be 7 to 3:30. And once I put in this particular shift, 7 to 3:30, if I just go ahead and hit my tab function key, it's going to ask me if I want to copy that shift to the next 4 days. So that's really helpful if they've worked that same schedule throughout the week. And if I click yes, it's going to go ahead and implement that schedule for that employee for that entire week. You'll notice this navigation toolbar up here at the top. This is pretty much the same throughout the entire system. You can see here that I can toggle between weeks. I didn't save my change, so it's always going to prompt you to save a change if I forget to save that using the save key here at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and click yes to save my change. And now you can see it's moved over into the next week. Looks like I have schedules for these 2 employees for this week, but not these 2 employees. So again, I can use this grid to go ahead and put in the dates for that employee. Let's say this employee, though, works a different shift. So they may work 9 a.m., let's say, to 5:30 p.m. on this day, but maybe they work a later shift on Tuesday, so I'm not going to copy that. I'm going to go ahead and put into the grid, maybe they come in 11 a.m., oh, I didn't put AM. One thing to note as well, if you are familiar with military time or you like working with military time rather than standard, we can, again, my typing, we can go ahead and set that to either standard or military according to what your preference is. So they come in at 11 a.m. on this day and then work to 7:30. So you can see where you can just go ahead and type the times of that schedule into the grid, whether or not they're different or whether or not they're the same.